Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So in this video, we're going to talk about no code. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about no code. Everyone wants to understand what no code is. Simply put, imagine you have an idea, you want to create an application, either a mobile app or a website app, and you know nothing about development. But in this application, you need to connect several other tools. You need to do several features, but you know nothing about development. Before, what did we do? We called on a developer or a communication agency. They would develop the application for us from A to Z. But today, we simply turn to something called no-code platforms. No-code platforms, you just need to write a sentence, what we call a prompt, send a key charge, just tell them in natural language what you need. And this system will create the application for you from A to Z without writing a single line of code. So there are a lot of projects that are very, very well known today, which have been created thanks to no-code platforms. So these projects are online today. They have raised a significant amount of funding. If I take Comet, it has raised more than 14 million euros. If I also look at the Tilde site, which was also created using no-code, it has raised more than $11 million. And there are a lot of projects. So for example, this one made $30,000 each month. As passive income, there's also Flexible. This one, it generated $3 million in revenue in its first year. So there are a lot of projects today that have been created thanks to no-code platforms. So as a result, if we use no-code, we can have an application, a service that is of very, very high quality, which can simply run online and generate money for us. Today, when we search for courses on no-code, there are a lot of videos on the internet. I too have created several courses on creating websites or applications using no code, but all those videos are made for experts. So I wanted to make a video today that is simple and clear, showing you from A to Z how I can create my application, how I can put it online, and how I can, of course, have a high quality application with a very, very good design. So watch the video until the end. Before starting the video, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Firebase. I am a doctor in artificial intelligence and I am a professor at the university. So if this is the first time you are watching my video, I invite you to subscribe here because I publish daily training sessions, practical guides, tutorials on the latest in artificial intelligence and digital marketing. And for those who are subscribed, I wanted to give them a little gift. It's exclusive access to my pack of 100 courses. So you will find in the descriptions of this video the link to my e-learning platform with a special coupon, and that will give you access to 100 courses. So there are approximately more than 6,000 videos in various fields: marketing, intelligence, artificial. So what are you waiting for to start? And now I wish you good training. So I will introduce you to two no-code platforms. The first platform is called Bolt. Bolt, in fact, is very strong in creating mobile applications. That means if you want to create an application and put it on your phone, this is the right tool. There is a second tool, which is a very well-known platform called Databolt. That one, in fact, is very, very strong in creating web applications. So today, if I talk about Bolt, Bolt actually has some advantages. Firstly, in fact, it is very strong in execution, meaning it is very fast. If I run a print, the response and development time is really very fast. We're talking about a few minutes. And above all, the performance is of a very high level. And it has a user-friendly interface that is very easy to use. Not to mention that I can integrate several APIs, several databases easily with Bolt. I get an idea about the pricing. Today, there is a free package, of course, where you can start testing. You can redo everything we will see in the training with just a free package. If you want to go very far, there is the $20 package that gives you access to 10 million tokens. Really, it's very good for making a slightly more advanced application. And there are pro packages that go up to $50. There, you can be sure as you need to add more tokens, you can purchase the tokens as you go. And if I go to see Data Button is very well used for web applications, as I explained. The advantage is, first, the creation is also very fast and especially structured. That means it gives you from the start how many steps you will need to make your application. You know perfectly from the launch how many tokens you will spend and how many steps to have your final application. I also really like the use of automation inside, meaning I can automate tasks within my programming. And it is very strong in creating everything that e-commerce, I recommend it to you. And finally, in fact, third-party integration. That means integration with other tools like Google, like Store. It is integrated within this tool. That's what makes our tool's strong point. Databot. Now, to get an idea about the pricing, first, you have a free package where you can redo all the manipulation of this video for free. So that's an advantage. So really, you have the opportunity to truly familiarize yourself before purchasing. And then you can subscribe for $20 per month, and afterwards you can purchase the number of credits depending on your usage. For example, that's a slight difference I found compared to Bolt, as they also give you the option to take a package where there is a human involved who follows up more days with you, helps you resolve bugs, and actually holds meetings and conferences with you, and that really makes a difference. Bolt does not offer this. Personally, I have had some interactions with their support, and I found that they are present, up to date, and really very helpful and quick. And that's a bit of a difference compared to others tools. And they even have a small package for communication agencies that create multiple applications every day. This one, absolutely, they want to simply assign a full-time developer at your request to handle the sending, receiving, and deployment of your application. So we will just stick with the simple package or even the free package to run our application, which we will see from A to Z in this video. Very well, so now we will look at the process. You will see that the process actually applies regardless of the type of application, whether web or mobile. And we actually have 6 steps. The first step is where we will actually search for our idea, because even if we have an idea, it's very important to see references for that idea, to see if other people have applied that idea and to get inspired. And sometimes if we don't have an idea, I will show you where to find ideas. Afterwards, we need what we call the specifications document for our application. I will show you, thanks to an AI that I have personally set up, I have implemented and created, in fact, a GTS that you can use for free, which will help you simply optimize your specifications document for artificial intelligence. Afterwards, we will simply launch our prompt, meaning our specifications document, our request on the platform, so our codes. Afterwards, we need to work on the design. You will see that I placed the design in second place because what is important in creation is actually the back office part. And then we move on to the front office. It's exactly like being with a team, with human beings who are developing. We start with the back office and then move towards the front office. Afterwards, we have what is called the connection to the database, because every mobile or web application needs a database. So this step is a very important one. We do it in the 5th priority position. And at the end, we do the deployment, or quite simply, the hosting of our application so that it is in production mode and public mode. And if you noticed here, I presented these steps, the 6 steps here in a system, which we call the spiral model. The advantage of this spiral model is that I can go back to a previous phase and restart the system. And that's very interesting because every time I progress in my prototype, imagine that, for example, at the level of the implementation of the design, I moved on to creating the database. Afterwards, I can actually go back to set up an addition or an extension of Kcharge and simply request to modify the code. And so, as a result, it means that going back is very possible with this model. It's actually a spiral model, which is very well known in software development. And here we go. So now we will try the first step, which is to find another idea. Very simple. So we will go to our website called adapti.io. This site will actually provide me with several applications that are categorized. You will see that here I choose a category, for example, and you will see it will give me information on several applications. And for each application, it will provide information on how much it will earn this application per month. And these are, of course, pieces of information that will help me delve a little deeper into the application to understand the features and especially, in fact, to identify the market, order little, and find the website to go into much more detail and research to see if this application is actually profitable or not, and especially what problems users encounter when they use the application, because thanks to that, I can detect a need and I can improve this application. So the opinions of others are very, very important. So you simply have the possibility here to search, for example, there. I am going to search for applications about calories and everything. And once I gather the information from these applications, I can compare them, I can enter to see and detect. So therefore, the first step to finding the idea, you have this website that will really help you find the right information regarding the site or to the domain or to the idea that you want to realize by creating it later. We move on to the second step, which is to create the specifications for this application. Because be careful here on Bolt, when I, for example, send the request to create my mobile application, I need to provide as much information as possible. And to do this, we are not going to write them down ourselves. We will simply call upon AI artificial intelligence to help us. But first, we needed to select the project. So for me, just to test this demonstration, I will choose this application. Here, it mentions that it brings in between $500,000 per month. This application, if you take a look at the description, you will see that it is a very well-known application on the internet. Today, quite simply, it allows you, when you take a photo of your food, to know exactly the calories contained within it, thanks to artificial intelligence. Just to let you know, this application was featured in Forbes. That's where they valued the application at $12 million. And there is a video available on YouTube about the person who created it, who started at the age of 7. And of course, he used AI to be able to develop this application. So for me, before making the request here, I will show you how to do it. Quite simply, we will use a GPTs on Chat GPT that I have created for you for free. What is that? Quite simply, you will find the link in the description, which will lead you to this page. Here, you will simply add the information regarding the mobile application you want to create on Bolt. You can simply provide it with the description. You can give it the official applications key website, and it is the one that will do everything necessary. It will enter, understand how it will work, and draft the specifications for you. Or even if you receive an email with an idea or information from a colleague or a friend, you can simply copy-paste the email here. So for me, I will simply choose the first option. I will simply copy-paste a small description that I copied from the application's website here to tell it what it is about. And here are, in fact, the descriptions, how they work. And so you just need to launch this prompt here, and you will see the system will create for me from A to Z all the necessary information to include in my specifications. And in a few seconds, I have a complete specification document ready to be sent with the back office, with the front office part, with the menu, and of course, the technologies that will actually be used in this specification. Because look here, even the sending, in fact, the connection with artificial intelligence is well detailed. This specification will help me set it up on Bolt to be able to launch my system. As you can see, it is very detailed. That's what it needs in Bolt. It needs you to provide the maximum amount of information and details so that it can really operate. Here, it's the front office side, meaning the visual side, the design side. It provides exact information on how the application should be displayed. It is based on the brief description I gave it, but I can do even better. I sent the website and it's going to copy-paste it as well. Here too, it will provide information on the technologies to use. So for me, what I need to do is simply copy that right from the start here and go to Bolt. Now I am on the Bolt site. Of course, I created an account here. My account needs to be created. I will actually launch the information. But here, be careful. There is simply a partnership between Bolt and the technology Expo. This technology specializes in generating code and deploying mobile applications on the App Store and Google Play Store. So then I tell it, listen, I want to make a mobile application. Apps or date. And there I will put 2 points and then I go back to the line and I will simply paste. Actually, my prompt, a little advice here is to actually copy and paste the prompt in English. This will save you tokens. Instead of, because the translation between French and English as well, it will cost tokens. So then I put it directly in English and I launch my request. You will see there, it will split into two to give me a little space here for what we call the console part. And there it will start developing the application for me from A to Z without me having to do any manipulation. So the code will be developed here. I will wait for the end of this development until I can then deploy and test the result. Very well, so now it has just finished the programming and it is asking me to add what we call the OpenAI API key. That means it needs a key that will allow it to use artificial intelligence from ChatGPT to analyze the photos and provide information regarding the calories. And to do it, it's very simple. We won't need to program, even though here it can tell us exactly where to update the file, but we might not need to touch the code, and we will simply go here to platform.openai.com. Here I am on the official OpenAI platform, and you will see that here there is what we call API keys. So when I click here, it's very easy. In fact, I can go up there and create what we call my own key. So when I click, it will ask me to give a name to this key. We will call it Bolt. And you will see that I can simply click on create the key. So this is my key. I will simply copy it here. And so I will go back there and I will simply paste my key here. And the system will simply execute the action of taking this key. So we will paste it there and we will send it. So the system will simply add it to the different files. You will see that it will do what is necessary to install this key so that my system works. So this is a key. As you can see, it will be encrypted in the database. This is very, very important so that it is not visible to everyone. And this key, I created it just for the test. There's no need to copy it. There are several ways to test my application. So I will start with the simplest way. So here I have a preview. So here too, I can actually see how it works. So I am currently looking at the display of this application. Of course, I can view it with different phone models. And of course, up here, there is a small button called deploy. So if I click on deploy for the web, it will simply create an external web page for me so that I can easily test my application in a browser. And there is also the possibility to actually create the application directly on my phone. And of course, I will ask it to create a QR code for me so that I can test it directly on my phone to see exactly how it works. So now I'm just waiting, and it will temporarily host it on a netedit file. This is a host that is either owned by or partnered with Bolt. It's just for testing. So now it's creating the link for me. Here's the link that interests me. So when I click here, you will see that I will view the application through a link, as you can see here. So over there, there's the trackful, there's the history, there's the profit section. And here, I simply have the functions, but well, it's not very nice to test here. So what you need to do is simply scan this QR code. You need to install the Expo app on your phone. So we're going to test it right away. So now I'm going to show you the phone. This is my phone. So here I bring it over to scan this application. You'll see that the application will load, and I'll see a small demonstration of my application. So this is the application. Now let's try to test, for example, the take photo button. Normally, when I press this button, it should simply open my camera. So to take a picture of the food, I click Indeed, and it works. It opens my camera, and then I'm done. The first phase is actually creating the internal part of the application. So I'm going to try to improve it a little. Actually, the design aspect is the fourth step, and that's why we're going to use this site. It's a website you can use by creating a free account, Dribble. It's a site where many designers from around the world share their work, showcasing a bit of their craftsmanship. And especially there are screenshots related to various websites and mobile applications. So the goal is there are a lot of people offering this to attract business in relation to, you can contact them if you want to work on something custom made and all, but there are plenty where you can draw inspiration from. Of course, you can ask the AI to be inspired by these designs to create something for you, thus personalizing it. So for me, I simply typed calories in the search bar because I wanted to take a look. There are a lot of models, so I looked for one that shows you, here's a little bit of how it works in the back office and everything. And that's why you go, here I'm going to go back to Bold, and I'm going to try to upload the images I've taken so that it can be inspired by them. So I'm going to go back to these images that I just downloaded, and I'll make a print where I'll ask it, in fact, to do just that, to work on updating the design, both the UI and the UX of my application, so that I will have something much more beautiful. So this is the second step. So I start the process. I leave it for a few minutes. It will rework. You will especially see the part, CSS, the design part, the layout part, and then we'll take a look at the quality of the result. And so it has actually finished the new design, and here is the display. So I see that it really turned out to be something very beautiful indeed. It created a profile section here, and it will be much more interesting to click here a little bit. To see it with the phone, you always need to test on mobile to see what it looks like. So now we will try to connect our phone and we will simply scan. In fact, this tool, here it is. So we will scan this QR code and there you go. It's loading here. And there you go. I have my entire application, which is indeed on the mobile. I see here, so there's the profile section, but it's not very clear. We can, of course, ask to work a little on the icon at the bottom. But when I click already, I actually see that there are the basic information related to it. I can simply ask to work on the icon here, which is not very clear. But what interests me the most is actually creating an authentication system to create users. So we will need to connect this to the database. I will show you exactly step by step how to connect with the database. So to do the authentication part here, we simply need to create the database and connect Bolt here or with a database, where we have everything related to authentication, user registrations, and everything else. Information related to my application. Every mobile or web application needs a database. And for me to be able to store my data in a database, Bolt, in collaboration with Supabase, offers you to connect it directly with that database. But for me, it's just a strategic choice. I often use the Firebase database because it is much easier to use. And also the free version is more than enough to start your applications. You type Firebase console in Google and click on the first link. Of course, you need to have an active Gmail account to access this interface. So here it's very simple. I will click on create a project. I give a name to the project. We'll call it Cal to mean calorie. All right, Cal. So Cal, what shall we call it? Cal Mobile. I click continue. Here it asks me if I want to connect it with Google Analytics. So here I will say no. I will create the project. You will see that it will just take a few minutes and the project will be created where I can integrate and add all my data. And there you go. The project has just been created. I will click on continue. The first thing to do, you will see here, it actually asks me what type of project it is. Is it an iOS, is it an Android, or is it a web application? So for me, even if it's a mobile application, I will actually select the web mode. Why? Because this will provide two possibilities. This will allow my application to run as a mobile application on Android or simply iOS. And also, if I want this application to be accessible on a regular browser, a web browser, it's very interesting that the foundation is made here with the web choice. So I click on web. Here, it asks me to give a name to this application. So we will try to put calorie. Quite simply, you can put whatever you want here. It's the name of the application within your project because a project can contain several applications. And you will see that actually the project or the code that interests me, which I will copy for a Bolt, it's this one. This will give it, in fact, the ability to connect to this Firebase application. It's the configuration. So this code, I will need to copy it later. Even if you don't copy it now, it's not a problem. I will show you how later on you can find this code. So here, I click on access the console. Once I'm in the console, you will see that I will go here to find the authentication section. This one, in fact, will show or give to Bolt. What are the methods with which people can sign up for my application? And here I click on get started. You will see there are several providers to connect. So remember, sometimes when you are on a website, you can log in using your Facebook account, others by Gmail, others by GitHub, others by Microsoft. There are others by phone, and you receive a verification code, or by email address. So for me, I will just take two choices. I will choose by email address and password. And I will also add another provider. And there I will also select by Google. And here you simply needed to activate this option for Google to work. So here, you leave the project name as it is. There is no problem. And there you will see, you need to select your email address. Once you click here, you will find your email address. You will select it, the email address, of course, of that account. This is like an associated support address. It's mandatory. If you are going to work with Google Authentication, you must select it. Once that's done, you will simply click here to save. And there you go. It's done. I have added the two providers. Here, I am ready to work with this connection. And before finishing, I will also go here to the creation. You will find here a section called Fair Store Data. In fact, here it's a little bit like if you simply want to store files and information. Sometimes, for example, in our application, if we are going to scan food, if I want to store that food as well. In the database, we will also need to add the database and add a storage space afterwards. So here, I click here, I tell it, listen, the database, I want it to be done in Europe. Because you have to choose any country where you will store the information. The database ID, there's no need to mention it. You will let the system do it automatically. And here you have a small button called Next. You click. So there, it will simply create your database. You will click on Create. You will see that here, it's the cloud. So Fair Store, where it will also install your database in this project. Of course, regarding the storage pass, later, if you want to have a large storage space, there you go. And where is that? You need to switch to the paid mode, of course, to do business with Google. That's where they will give you a large space where you can store terabytes of data. So for me, I'm done here. In fact, the installation, all that's left to do is to retrieve the code we saw earlier and give it to Bolt so it can make its connection. So you will click on Settings up there, here, on this option. And you will see that you can actually retrieve this code from your database configuration. So for me, I'm simply going to do a simple copy paste of this code there. So we will copy it and head over to Bolt to simply tell it, here are the codes and make the connection with this database for me. And there you go. I return to Bolt here and I simply paste it and actually send it there, the development of my application. You will see that here it has all the configurations and it will try to develop the profile section so that it simply provides a connection space with a login and password along with a connection to Gmail. And so as a result, if it handles all the authentication, it knows what is needed in no-code platforms. So I leave it, I give it a few moments to complete the implementation. And so that afterwards I can test the result. And there you have it. He has just finished the work with the deployment. So as a result, I have my extension here. I can simply test it, but before testing it, it's very important to go here. So in Firebase, you will see in the authentication section, you will find settings here and you need to actually give authorization to the domains proposed here. So with Bolt, you will see that here, when I have these Tesla domains, I need to tell Firebase, attention, allow all connection requests from this link. Of course, when your application is finally deployed permanently, you should put the link to your official website. But here, I will just copy this one. So here, you copy like this. You will come here and click on Add a Domain. You will simply copy and paste that domain here and click on Add. So the domain has just been added. You will see, therefore, I can simply request the deployment. So here, I will deploy to run the application. So of course, I can test it on mobile, but we'll do it quickly. We'll also always do it on this URL. You notice that every time I deploy, it's always the same URL, which is good. So I click here to test it. So here I have my application. Of course, I can display it in mobile mode. So I can click here, right button, rather like this, Inspect Done. And I can simply choose here to have it done by mobile. If I want to see it like on the phone, is the same thing. And then it's up to you to choose how you want to view the testing. So I click on Profile and there you go. Here it is. It has added the part to log in with a username and password. To connect, I can actually log in with Google, as we did earlier. So now I'm going to try clicking on Google to see what happens. Normally, it will bring up a pop-up where I will choose my Google account. And there you go, it works. So it has actually shown the different email addresses connected to my PC. So I'm going to choose this one, the one that suits me for logging in. So I'm going to select it and click to see what happens, whether it will connect or not. And there you go, it works. So it has displayed my email address with the login date. There is also the possibility to edit the profile, set goals related to the calorie tracker, change the language here, choose the dark mode or not, and log out. And really, we have successfully completed the operation here. So there you have understood the principle. What remains to be done now is simply to go through all the functions and simply ask it the questions here so that it develops the functions to have the application you want. So it understands with the questions. So you ask the questions, it will provide you with the answers. And suddenly, if I look at my plan here, I have reached this stage, which is the deployment stage. Remember, we have a spiral method, meaning I can go back to Cuddy design. I can go back to throwing other main plant information into KeyCharge to force it to add new features or remove features. That's why we have a spiral model. I can circle around, ask it what I want, and the system will code, it will program for us. So the last step which I need to complete is to do the deployment and simply put it, this application online. So I also wanted to show you, in fact, I launched a lot of prompts to improve this application before deploying it. So we even added a subscribe section here. I would like to show you here. So we are going to deploy it to show you a little bit of the extension and how the application has become now after several improvements to enhance all the features. So at the beginning, I would actually need to sign up. So here I can simply create an account to register. And if I don't have an account, I can do it here. It's the first time actually to register and log in. Actually, if I want to log in, I have removed the part of logging in with Gmail. I preferred, in fact, to collect email addresses this way. I click to register. Once I'm logged in, it takes me to this dashboard where I can see how many calories I've consumed each day in terms of protein and various information. And even here, you will see that I can track my progress. I can also see the payment section. If I want to subscribe to this application, I can see my progress. I can also see the history. And above all, I'm actually interested in taking photos. And I even wanted to add a section where I can input the information myself. So here I'm going to take this image. I'm going to ask it to analyze it here. You will see that it calls on ChatGPT, of course, to perform the analysis. And there, it actually detected all the information that exists in this photo to provide me with it. The information regarding calories, and I can, of course, save them as dinner or breakfast or anything, and save it in the database so that later we can try to view a calendar with all the information and data. So now for the deployments, I will first start by exporting, in fact, the folder. So here it's simply a zipped file that I will just download. You will see these files. I will show you on my computer. Once I download it, I will simply have here are the files that will be in this manner. These files, in fact, I will need them to execute to actually be able to generate the application. I will need Visual Studio Code, which is an application you can download for free from the internet. And this one will simply allow me to launch what we call the terminal to run command lines from here to actually have a ready project so that I can generate the executable where I will place it either on Google Play Store or on App Store. And for that, be careful. You need to have a paid account in the Google App Store. And here, actually to create that account, it will cost $25 for Google. And for the one on Apple, it will cost $99 to have access to developer.apple.com. This will simply allow me to use their gallery, their store, so that I can upload my file and let people download it. But be careful, I will need this application, which is the Expo application, because you will see on Bolt in collaboration with Expo, when you click here to deploy it, it will redirect you directly to the Expo documentation. Expo will do all the work for you, so that's why you will need it. In fact, with a free Expo account, you can create the account here by logging in there. And once inside, you can actually create your project here. So the project, when I click there, let's suppose here, I am going to create a project. I will call it, for example, Cal2. You will see that when I create the project, it will directly give me the steps to follow to actually be able to run and install this project on the terminal. So these command lines that you are seeing here, I simply need to execute them here on Visual in the command line for it to work. And of course, I will give you another very interesting documentation because when I create on, for example, the Google Play Store, I will actually need to create my key. The key, in fact, is somewhere the bridge that will give Expo access to your dashboard editor in your Google Play system. And so it can communicate, upload, and place the necessary files. So as a result, I will need to create this key. The same goes for Apple. I will also need to create the key. The creation of keys I have here a documentation that I will leave for you, which guides you step by step on Google. How do you retrieve this key? With screenshots. Very simple. You need to have copied. In fact, it's what it has. It's thanks to these keys that I can actually launch. In fact, the connection between Expo and Google, the same thing with the iOS version. And there, this documentation will actually give you the commands to run in the terminal, to either set up for Google Play Store or to set up on Apple Store. So be careful. You are not required to do it manually. It's thanks to Expo, thanks to this terminal, that I can simply launch the execution without any issues. So here, for example, it gives you the command to install for the installation. It gives you the prerequisites, as we mentioned, the billing account, and it simply shows you step 2. So the creation of an application key and the step of submitting this application. It's actually responsible for handling the submission. You also have the interface at the level, so the visual at the level, so of the shoulder part. The same thing. It gives you the basic command for installation, and of course it provides the step here to simply configure and upload it. All this happens with the key credentials. If we don't have the key, we cannot, of course, communicate with Google Play Store or App Store. And that's how I managed to do it. So the connection, therefore today, Expo has actually given us the ability to do the generation, and especially the deployment of the application in a quite simple way without actually having to do programming and coding, even at the terminal level. Here on Visual Studio, here I would simply have the possibility to add in the terminal the command line and execute it by pressing enter so that it can be executed. And there you go. We have actually managed to follow these steps to create code from an idea, from a specification document. So please tell me in the comments if you want us to do a live there. We will create an account together on Google Play Store and on App Store, and we will upload together the application. And above all, we will try to talk together in this live session afterwards. There, on how I can commercialize, how I can do marketing, how I can set up a marketing strategy to let people download this application and give it a rating. A good rating on this application. So write to me in the live comments, and I will simply create a live session with you, with the whole community. If, of course, there are enough of you, we need at least about 50 people to be able to have a nice live session together. There we will purchase the space and upload our application. Thank you, and I'll see you shortly. Thank you for watching this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to write to me in the comments. I do my best to answer all your questions. And if you like the video and want to see the upcoming updates, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I thank you very much and see you soon.